So Brock Purdy had an interesting game. Offense put up 30 points. He had a touchdown pass called back because it was slightly backwards. Didn't turn the ball over. Stafford turned it over twice. But the plays that stuck out for Purdy, right or wrong, were the 3 missed deep ones. Maybe because people just like to nitpick, or maybe because we haven't really seen that part of his game show up yet consistently. So, given everything that happened, how was your greatest performance, and explain your rubric?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so he overthrew Ayuk in the first half on a 2nd and 9 slant and go, and he badly overthrew him. Like he overthrew him by 3 steps.
Yards.
Yeah, I mean it was 3-4 steps. It was not close. He could never make a play on the ball. That was bad. The one to Debo was so deep, and he overthrew him. I mean, he overthrew it by low. 3 yards, and maybe the trajectory was a little flat. So that wasn't good. Then he overthrew Juwan. I can't remember the exact sequence, but it was in the second half.
Not sure that would have been a touchdown, but it would have been a big play. The other 2 probably should have been touchdowns.
So he had at least 3 overthrows that could have all been touchdowns, really. And that would have made this an unbelievable day. Yeah. He still completed. I mean, he was 17 of 25. So that's 68%. Grant, it's remarkable. Nice. It's remarkable how consistent this guy is. He was 67% at Iowa State. I think he was like 67% last year. I think that's kind of what he is. He's about a 67, 68% completion guy. And it seems like there's no, without fail, he completes 68%. So he was 17 of 25, 206 yards. He took the 1 sack. He had 3 runs. He had the 1 quarterback sneak for the touchdown. No turnovers. He had 5 different receivers. I would give him a B-. Why? Because 6 for 6 on that first drive. Okay, so like to me, how you set the tone at the beginning of the game matters. He came out sharp, 6 for 6 on the first drive. They go down the field, they score a touchdown, they give their defense an advantage. Then he also engineered a 7-play, 75-yard touchdown drive at the end of the second quarter in like a minute 30 or minute 40, whatever that was. So that was really good. And then no turnovers. I mean, if he had hit those 3 long balls that we're talking about, then he's 20 of 25. And you're talking about a guy who's completed well over 70% of his passes with maybe 3 touchdowns and, a 4th, a rushing touchdown. And, so I mean, I would say a B-. It was not, I mean, you heard him in the post game. It's like he himself was critical. Yeah. So it's like, it's not like, hey, if people are critical of Purdy, they're crazy. Purdy was critical of Purdy. But still 68%, no turnovers, got them into and out of a lot of good plays at the line of scrimmage. Never really wilted in the face of pressure, never turned it over. I thought overall it wasn't his best performance. It was one of his worst performances, but I would still give it a B- because they got a win on the road and and here's the other thing. At the end of the day, his bad performance where he missed 3 touchdowns maybe also still resulted in them putting up 30. It's a lot of points, man. I mean, that's the part that I have a hard time getting beyond is that, wow. I mean, look at this. This guy's 9-0 outside of the NFC Championship game loss to Philly, where he didn't finish. The Niners score 30 a game. Their point differential in those 9 games is like plus 150 or something. I mean, it's really fat. And, since week 14 of last year, I mean, we're talking about the number 1 rated passer in the league, the number 1 touchdown passer in the league, 2nd in the league in yards per attempt. But just in this game, I'd say B- because of the 3 missed throws.
I gave him a B. But you're much more of a negative person than me, and you're really tough. You're a lot tougher on Purdy than me. What I think of as interesting about this grade is it's all about these 3 misses. And you figure if he had just hit one of them, let's say he hit the one to Debo down the middle for a touchdown, his grade would have been an A, right? I think it would have. So that to me shows how big this part of the game is. If he could just hit one of these, all of a sudden he goes to a whole different grading tier. If he can't, then he's always going to be, would you call him in the offseason? Like, he's a 7. He'll be stuck as a 7 on a really good team who's cheap. You're getting paid to be a 2 and he's a 7. But if he can hit that throw, you don't even have to hit all 3 of them. Hit one of them. And all of a sudden, you might be the offensive player of the week. You could be a Pro Bowler. Like, I think it's important, but I also think it's attainable. You don't have to hit all 3. You don't even have to hit 2 of them. Just hit 1.
I also think that we're also overlooking that he threw a flat dime for a touchdown to Debo, and Darion Kendrick face guarded him and got a PI. That was in Debo's hands in the corner of the end zone. That was an absolute dime, and Kendrick face guarded him, so they got first and goal at the 1, and eventually he scored on the quarterback sneak. But that was a pass that he put right on Debo, right on
beautiful.
Debo.
And he didn't have any throw that was like almost intercepted or could have been intercepted. Like, he was he's better than Stafford in that regard. Now, the first interception that Stafford had was not his fault. But I always feel with Stafford, once things start to go bad, once he throws one pick, the second one's coming. He kind of has this like, all right, screw it attitude. That maybe like Phillip Rivers used to have, like, I'm going to go down swinging. I'm not just going to check down my way to the end.
Stafford's a gunslinger, man. Stafford's a great player, but he has 171 career picks. I mean, think about that.
That's crazy.
I mean, and the guy's had 20 interceptions in a season. He's had over 15 in a season, like 5 times. So, I mean, he throws picks. He takes chances. He's a gunslinger. I love Stafford, though, and my only question coming out of this game is if you're the Rams, because I think the Rams are kind of real on some fronts, right? If you're the Rams, do you pivot away from potential contention and try to trade Stafford and Aaron Donald and see if you can get up in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes and solidify your franchise and your ticket sales and your, going forward with Caleb in LA? Because if they could, I mean, you know how popular SC is in LA. If the Rams could get Caleb Williams, it would be good for the Rams. It would be good for the league. And it would be great for sustaining their franchise.
Let me just be frank. I don't give a fuck about the Rams. So no one does. And frankly, no one does from the look at SoFi. I got a question about Purdy, a follow-up question about Purdy.
Yeah.
Is he the best quarterback from the 2022 draft? Obviously, the last quarterback taken. Was he the best?
I mean, I'm trying to think who else was it. It was Pickett, right? And
let me go through. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, who do you got?
From the beginning. Hold on.
Pickett. Pickett was 1.
Pickett was 1. Desmond Ridder was 2.
He's better than Ridder. He's better than Pickett. He's better than Ridder.
Malik Willis is 3.
Way better than Malik.
Matt Corral is 4.
Way better than him.
Bailey Zappi's 5.
Better than him.
Sam Howell's 6.
That's one that Sam Howell's real. I don't know if you watched how much you've watched of Sam. Sam Howell is thick and strong, and he's small as well, but he's real. He's an athlete, and he can run.
He's undefeated.
He's got a good arm. Career. He's not bad. Yeah. He's not bad. But I think he's better. Purdy. I think Purdy's better than him.
They're similar, though, in terms of skill set. Purdy's on a better team. Howell has a stronger arm. Purdy's probably we haven't seen that much of either one of them.
Howell's
it would be interesting.
Howell's fast. I've seen Howell have a 100-yard day on the ground.
I mean, there's a reason that Howell was drafted ahead of Purdy, right? Like in terms of like, if you just watched them in college and looked at their physical makeup, I could see how Howell would get picked ahead.
He throws a good ball and he's fast and, led a prolific offense at North Carolina. But I still think Purdy's a little bit more refined as a passer. Howell's more of a one speed, throw it hard, throw everything hard.
Yeah, you're right. He's a little bit like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. That's a good call. He's short like that, but he's got kind of a howitzer.
Yeah, he kind of does. Wasn't there a time, I think when he was maybe a sophomore or something, that people were looking at him as maybe being a top pick in the draft, and then it all fell apart for him at North Carolina. But
Carolina always underachieves. And he shared some time, I think. I mean, it just didn't come together, had some injuries, but maybe he's in a good spot right now. I mean, he's the unquestioned starter. Ron Rivera could have gone in other directions. He didn't.
He's similar to Purdy in the sense that he was a 3-year starter, not a 4-year starter, but a 3-year starter at a mid-tier school.
Right.
So, he had adversity. And now he's on a team that's trying to be like the 49ers. Washington has Rand Carthon as their GM, who was with the Niners, and he's trying to build that kind of a physical team. And they're trying to not spend on the quarterback, just like the Niners. It's the same idea. It's interesting. Those two are the ones.
So there's
Those
Sam.
two.
So there's the only other guy you didn't name was Skylar Thompson, who's not
Skylar
bad
Thompson.
either. But yeah, it's a Purdy Howell debate. I mean, some people would say Kenny Pickett, but I'm not as big a Kenny
And I think
Pickett.
what we're learning is there's no reason to take a quarterback in round 1 if he's not like a no doubt about it first round pick, when you could get guys like Sam Howell and Brock Purdy on day 3. Experienced quarterbacks from mid-tier schools who have a little bit of athleticism. You can find guys like that. You put a good team around them and pay them nothing, they could have success. Doesn't mean they'll be your franchise quarterback, but they could be a high-level quarterback for you for 3-4 years. I think that's changing how teams look. Like, why take Kenny Pickett in round 1? That's a terrible decision.
I mean, let's go back to this last year, right? Okay, so Bryce Young went number 1, and you had C.J. Stroud going number 2, and you had Anthony Richardson, who looked good this weekend at times.
Yeah.
He went number 4. Will Levis went in round 2. Okay, so those are the first 2 rounds. But rounds 3 through 7, these are the quarterbacks. And there's some interesting names here. Hendon Hooker, who's in Detroit. Jake Hayner, who's Julie Hayner's kid, who's in New Orleans. Stetson Bennett, he's a backup type guy. But how about Aiden O'Connell? I think Aiden O'Connell's pretty good.
Clayton Tune. 4?
He got picked in the 4th round. Clayton Tune went in the 5th round. I think Clayton Tune's pretty good. I think people will see that. DTR went in the 4th round to the Browns. Yeah. Sean Clifford, Jaron Hall, Tanner McKee is not bad with Philly. He's not playing right now, but he's not bad. Max Duggan's not bad. So I mean, I would, the Walsh used to say that you should take a quarterback in every draft, and you know what, that might not be the worst.
Niners should have taken one this year. Niners should have taken one this year. They could have taken Aiden O'Connell. They could have taken DTR. I mean, I know they like Sam Darnold, but come on. They could have done it again and had like the next Brock Purdy in waiting. They have the blueprint. They created the blueprint, and Washington's following it. I wonder if we're going to see less teams reach. There's no reason to reach for quarterbacks anymore. It feels like college is producing guys who are extremely experienced. Stop reaching for guys who have upside.
There's 70 or 80 guys who have been drafted quarterback-wise in the first round this century, and like 6 or 5 or 6 have won the Super Bowl. It's a low percentage play. If you draft a first-round quarterback, for whatever reason, maybe teams aren't looking at the right things. Maybe a guy like Purdy will change the look. Not that they'll be looking for short quarterbacks or quarterbacks who have cheap, average arm strength. But like you might be looking for guys. You might like Aiden O'Connell. Maybe should have gone higher than the 4th round, and DTR maybe should have gone higher than a pick number 140. Because these guys played in college and had success in college. So
you're seeing the Niners have success. They're having sustained success, and teams are trying to be like the 49ers. If they win the Super Bowl, more teams will try to be like the 49ers. And a big part of their blueprint that other teams haven't replicated or committed to is the cheap quarterback. Like, this is the cheapest quarterback you could possibly have. And he's also really good. But the team is just so good, and he couldn't be this good without him making nothing. Like, if he had a first-round contract, they couldn't do this. So other teams are going to try to do this with eventually, I would think. I mean, I bet the Steelers regret drafting Kenny Pickett already. He's already getting too much money. They could have had Sam Howell in round 5.
And it's not like we've never seen this happen before. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. Joe Montana was a 3rd-round pick. Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick. They're the exceptions, not the rule. But you know what? It just seems like the whole discussion on quarterbacks, it's all about arm strength and upside and potential. And yet, what about the guy who's just ball comes out on time and he processes well and he's marginal size and marginal arm strength, but he can, lead a team up and down the field?